If you got yellow or gold, it's all good. It's a quick reference. We took all the reading standards and defined all of the words in there. We were having a conversation about homophones and homographs. And when you don't teach reading all the time, you don't use all those words all the time. I know just from trying to help kids in math, you don't remember how to do them all. So we went through and defined all of the words that maybe you don't use every single day. So as you are teaching reading in your classes, you can look at the standard and say, yes, I am meeting that standard very clearly, and it can help you define this for the children as well as you go through. So the green ones have everything including speaking and listening for presenting knowledge as well, and the language part for writing. So just as a quick reference guide for you, it can help you out. In English, we are passing them out with each section as we introduced our first books. And then when we start our big writing project, we're going to give them the writing standards. So they'll have it in front of them, and we can kind of check them off or date them as we do that. And when you create lesson plans where in social studies, science, tech, you are teaching a reading skill, you could do the same and kind of check it off and say, yes, I am teaching all those reading and writing standards. So just a little tool or guide. The other sheet is a sheet of reading strategies that you can do if you're going to read a section in a nonfiction book for your content. Start by activating prior knowledge, get the kids questioning, what do you know, what do you think you know? Have them visualize or make a movie in their mind of what you're reading. Taking notes, summarizing are big ways. Getting connections, that reminds me of something. Sometimes I feel there's so many connections, you lost the whole point of where you started anyway, but it helps them know what you're talking about and remember it later on with that connection. And making inferences, specifically, I think of science a lot for inferencing. It goes back and forth. You can reinforce that vocabulary and that skill because we do it in reading all the time. And then synthesizing or summarizing all that information together. And again, you can just use it as a little checklist to make sure you're hitting. You don't have to do all of those for every piece you read, but if you're hitting 2 or 3 each time, then you are really working on building reading in the classroom. The back of that sheet has some strategies from Marzano that have highly effective rates of return. If you are teaching different things, having them pick out similarities and differences, maybe creating a Venn diagram and sorting through. When you have a list of vocabulary, maybe you can divide them by parts of speech even, or are they going to be something that's before or after? Having the students classify into categories like that helps them think, do I really understand that word? Do I know what that word really means? Encourage students to think in similes and metaphors. That's like this, that's different than this, or that is this. And again, that's extending their thinking and also helping in memory. Having them identify an opposite. If you say the water's clear, what's the opposite of clear? Or whatever might be working for in yours. Having 2 words that are very similar and talking about the nuances between those 2 words can be another great way to wordsmith. And then having them think about the relationships between concepts that you've covered. And the second one is summarizing frequently. Model summarizing to your students. Explicitly teach it. We are going to summarize right now. Here are the things we're going to do. We're going to pick out the main points. We're going to combine the combinations of words, especially in note-taking if you're going to ask them to take some things out of a textbook. And then provide opportunities for the students to practice summarizing and check for accuracy afterwards. If you're assigning to read a section at home and they're supposed to take notes, come back and don't give a grade for those notes, but go through, here is what it should look like. These are the important points, and clarify with the students. Number 3 is encouraging them to create non-linguistic representations, and this is really good for ELL as well. Graphic organizers, little symbols or cues that can help students get a mental picture or that movie in their mind as they are both reading and listening. Using physical models and manipulatives whenever possible, and then engaging the students in bodily kinesthetic activities. And we were teasing because flashcards really are bodily kinesthetic, because you can walk around the room and you can have them walk around the room as well. And then we have, for our tech people, Quizlet. It's just flashcards on the computer, so depending where they are and what their needs are. And then number 4, encouraging students to question and wonder. Why is it relevant to them? Why is it relevant to humanity? Employ the new terms and concepts daily. You can even maybe give bonus points if they're using the terms appropriately throughout the class. And then challenging them, how can you apply that same term to a different setting? So Marzano's, these are all highly effective techniques, classroom proven. And then when you are reading in class, if you can specifically say, oh, I found the definition of that word in that paragraph. Is it in a context clue? Is it in an embedded definition? Having kids check their dictionary or create their own dictionary of words as they are learning. And then front-loading the vocabulary before a lesson or pre-teaching it can also help with more fluidity throughout class. So I think a lot of these are things we already do. It's just good to have a reminder or a checklist in front. Thank you.
Kevin's going to